craft along. I'm here, hello. I'm going to be making this cute Hello Robins Christmas card today. So this design uses pro markers, so we'll be doing, well, I say pro markers. So I use pro markers to colour these in, you can colour them in whichever you like. But I'll be showing you some techniques using these alcohol markers. There are different brands available, but the same techniques apply. So let me just double check I've got all the tech set up correctly. So I've got the screen in front of me, which I can see a bit of a time delay, but it does mean that I can see any questions you have. So if you have any questions during today's workshop, do pop them into the live chat and I'll try and answer them during the workshop. Or if you're watching the replay, do say hello in the chat and ask any questions and we'll get back to you on the comments instead. But yes, hello. Right, let me just test the sound. My microphone's been playing up. One moment. Yep, that all seems fine. Excellent, so I think we're ready to get started. So this design is part of the Christmas Craft Along 2025, and all the designs we're making this week, it's Friday today, are based around the Santa's Little Robins stamp set, which is the new stamp set that I've designed. So all the images are individual stamps that you can peel off the sheet and ink and stamp and clean them off and put them back again. You can reuse them again and again. So everything I've made from this set so far is all from one stamp set. It will last you for years. So yes, so I've got the stamp set, but I actually design card making kits. So this kit is available as a beginner's kit, advanced, or an expert. And I'll just walk you through what all those mean. So the beginner's kit has everything, all the pieces you need stamped, coloured in, cut out, ready for you to assemble. This one's a very quick and easy card to do from the beginner's kit. So you might want to add some extra elements to it as well if you want to have a bit of a longer craft time. The advanced kits, which is what's actually tucked away in this little package here, so I'll show you that in just a sec. Or the expert kit, which has comes with the stamp set, the card blank, envelope, and all the cardstock that you'd need to make these designs. So you'd have some white card or cream card, and you can stamp all the images, cut them out, and cut the mounts. Which gives you, I'm quite generous with those, so there's always extra card left over for any stamping mishaps, or there's extra bits that you could add extra embellishments as well. So let me show you what the advanced kit looks like, and we'll find out whether we're making the craft or the white version. So all my card designs always come in two colourways, so if you prefer the sort of more rustic style or the crisp white card blanks, let's have a look at what we're making today. So it is the white card blank we're going to be making today. So this is what the advanced kit looks like. So in the advanced kit you've got your envelope, so it's a white envelope and card, or there is a craft envelope for the craft card. This is the white card blank. Then you've got the green mount, the red mount, and then these lovely sheets to colour in. So you'll see all these are stamped images using the stamps. Let me just walk you through these. So they're using the square frame and the rectangle frame, and then adding the different robins, and I've got them all sort of peeking into the frame, and then we're going to cut off the excess. So you can pick and choose which ones you'd like. You might have to have the reindeer popping on, or add the holly extra around the edges. There's lots of options, and plus this square and rectangle are so versatile because you can do this with flowers or bees, butterflies, any other stamps you have, you can create this beautiful grid, but have different elements jumping. So after sort of the Christmas rush is over, I'm planning on using these to make some example cards to show you what else you could make with them. So move that to one side. So that's what comes in the kit. What you'll also need today, so also in the kit, sorry, is the foam 3D foam pads, which we'll use to make that 3D element. We've got those a bit later. So in addition, what you'll need is some scissors, some glue, so anything that's suitable for paper or card. I'll be using this, what I call my glue mouse, which dispenses double-sided tape, which is a very quick and mess-free way of gluing. I say glossy accents. I recommend having this glue in your arsenal, but I don't need it today. So, but this is glossy accents, and it's a liquid glue that dries completely clear. So that's right. And also some pens. So we're going to be colouring in the images. So you could use pencils, pens, you could use paints. If you want to test out your pens against the black ink on the side, so this is designed so that it won't bleed with the alcohol markers. But you're welcome to test it out on this bit on the side where it's we're going to cut it off anyway. I recommend doing that. But yeah, so we're going to be using the pro markers. Let me just run through the colours in case you've got your stash of pro markers and you're ready to copy me step by step. Also make sure I've got the right ones because I made a little bit of a mishap during the week. So the green is lush green, and then the light brown for the antlers is raw sienna, and then the robin colour is walnut, the yellow is canary, and the red is lipstick red. And then if you've got the the craft version and you want to colour in the craft, I've actually kept it the same, so for most of them, so the lush green, the canary, the raw sienna, and then I put these just out of reach so that I wouldn't get mixed in. Crimson is the red, and burnt sienna is the brown for the antlers on there. So let me put those to one side. So this is the set we want to use for the white hard blanks. So let's start colouring. So yeah, we can sit back, relax and enjoy this. Actually, while I've got that on, I meant to put these little measurements on here. So if you are making it from the expert kit, that is the measurement. So 5 by 5 inches and 4.5 by 4.5 for a 6 by 6 inch card blank. She's always called a 6 by 6 inch. It is actually smaller than that. I think it's the idea is that it fits in an envelope that's the right size. But yes, it's kind of what's sold as 6 by 6 inches. So I would like to start with the red. So let's colour in these robins. So I'll do some of the red, and then I will show you some techniques using the pro markers. So on here, so I only need to colour in the part of the robin that's actually within the frame. So it's up to you if you want to colour in more. So yes, it might look a bit confusing. And I'm going to leave the white arc on his tummy. I'll leave it white rather than colouring it in brown or red. I like to sort of let it stand out. This is quite a nice kit if you want to share your crafting with your children, so you can let them colour them in, and you assemble them or help them cut them out depending on the age. Oh, let's not forget his Santa hat. Go. That's all red. So I'm just going to do his. I'm going to do plural then his beaks. Just do the colour in the beaks yellow, and I'm going to do that now before we do any of the brown. So what I'm conscious of is not colouring two colours next to each other. So I'm giving each colour a chance to dry in between. Because I will explain what pro markers can do, because they're quite special. So let's put those to one side. I've got some spare card here to show you. So alcohol markers, what's really great about them is how they blend into a beautiful flat finish. So it's kind of like the sort of comic book style, so you can colour in a section and it will, once dry, it will look like a flat colour. So yeah, so with the felt tip pens you'll see line marks and things, so it's a really lovely way to colour and feel like you've got something really professional, a professional finish. So I guess it's why they're called pro markers. Of course. So the way that works is that they blend when they're first used. They for the first couple of minutes they're blendable. This is a special card. It's called Silky Smooth card, and it is advertised as being really good to use with alcohol markers. It's got a slight sheen to it, so it doesn't absorb the ink too quickly, so it doesn't bleed through. It does bleed through, you can see it on the other side, but if you had a more porous paper, it'd be more like painting with watercolour paints. So let me show you. Actually, let me just do some example ones first. So they come with two tips. So you've got the fine one that I'll be using for most of the work today, and it also has a chisel version at the other end. So that's really good for covering large areas. Oh, I meant to change the lush green, didn't I? I'm going to treat myself to a new lush green because it is slightly running out, that one. I've had it for years. They do last a long time. So they can blend to a beautiful flat finish, and then once they've had a chance to dry, you can go back in and add an extra layer on top. And when you do the extra layer, it doesn't blend into the original one, it actually sits on top and will give you a darker colour. So if you wanted to go back through and add some shadows, you can go back through with the perfectly matching same colour and add those in. That's quite fun. So I'll let that dry a little bit more before I show you that. But what we can also do is blend two colours together. So these are quite distinct colours. I'm going to blend these two. But quite often, if you've got a different project, you can pick like 3 different pinks and merge from one to the other. So to do this, I recommend having the lids off, so that you're not faffing around with that. So start with a lighter colour, do a block of colour, and then come in with the darker colour. Now you can see that it's quite a stark line there. but then go over again with the lighter colour. Don't get distracted talking. And just build up the layers. And we'll just let that blend. So you can see it's, I don't know if you can tell on that video there, it's easing, starting to blend between the two. There we go. And right around. So that's how you can blend two colours together, which is quite fun. What's also quite fun, if you've got the card and you've got the stamps, if you let that dry, you can then stamp the images on top. So if you're doing a flower or maybe some greens and you're doing leaves, you can create quite some beautiful effects, and it's a bit more free, if that makes sense. So you're not doing like specific colouring like we're doing here. You can have a bit more sort of an arty feel to your work as well. So if we go back to the green one, so now that's had a chance to completely dry, I'm now going to like that just to show you that it doesn't blend in, it sits on top, and you can add in extra detail, even though it's the same colour. You don't have to try and find two pens that are matching in tone and slightly different, so you can use the same pens, which is a lot of fun. Cool. I feel like I've got to wait until that completely dries to show you, but we'll come back to that. I'll leave that up here. Right, let's get back to our robins. So I'm going to colour the robins in with the walnut. And they are permanent markers, so be aware of where they're accessible. I've got two boys that are now grown up enough that I don't worry too much about it. But yes, when they were under 5 and could easily raid my craft studio and find them, I used to make sure they were out of reach or only used under supervision. Check you coloured in all sections. It can be quite a sort of optical illusion over what's above the line and what's below the line on those. Okay, just colouring each of the robins. So it doesn't, if we get used to using the pro markers, it's quite a light touch because the ink from them does just bleed ever so slightly on this paper. So you've got, so I colour up to the line and let the ink actually reach the line, and you can always go back and add a little bit more if needed, rather than trying to draw along the line. If that makes sense, or colouring in from black line is. Looking lovely. Okay. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump to this one, just because he's got some more colours to come. So I need time for it in between the colours to dry. So what I've done, what I'm going to attempt to do now, for this one is coloured in the headband green. You don't need to, because I've had other one. It's very fine. You have to be really, really light-handed and steady-handed to do it. So, but it looks absolutely. I've had times where it hasn't worked, and it looks absolutely fine coloured in brown. So I'll do the brown first. Leave it white and see how that goes, and then if it bleeds into it, just colour it in brown, and it still looks fab. Yeah, stop talking then, concentrate. There we go. Wonderful. We're going to go back to this one while that dries. There we are, so that's all the walnut ones done. So the antlers I've coloured in the raw sienna. There we go. And then all that's left to do is the headband, which you could leave white or you could have coloured in brown. I'm going to attempt to go over it with the green. Oh no, we're not finished. He's got a hat. Let's colour in his green hat. So I've deliberately coloured him in green just so it ties in with the mount in the background and just helps bring the card design together. So it's something I call colour twins or colour triplets. I say I think it's quite a standard term. But it's where there's matching colours or patterns or shapes on a card that just help tie the card together and make it all feel like it belongs. Right. So it's very light. Yeah, and it will bleed over slightly, but it's just a changing in colour. And also you can always switch to a colouring pencil for the finer bits. That's good. So there are robins all coloured in, and I think I've got all the sections. I've found a few times doing this that when I've cut them out, I found like a wing or something that I've managed to miss. I'm just going to do a little bit under there. Yeah. So at this point, once the browns, leave it a few minutes to dry, you could go back through and add some shadow around the wings with the same pen, but we're not going to do that today. So next we are cutting these out. So we're cutting out the rectangles and squares, so nice and easy. Got a pair of small sharp scissors, and I'm just going to cut along the outside of the line, and they're not straight lines, they're just slightly wobbly, so I'm just going to follow that wobble as best I can. And then I've got this sort of excess card here, so I'm going to cut that off so that it's not dragging on where my scissors want to be. So most of my designs involve some fussy cutting from the advanced kit, certainly. The beginner's kit's already cut for you, but the advanced kit involves some fussy cutting, and I do really enjoy fussy cutting. It's quite a, I know it does sort of split opinions, but I find it really relaxing and a nice sort of repetitive activity that's can just let my mind wander. And with that in mind, so all the stamps that I design, I design them with fussy cutting in mind. So I will I'll keep the lines quite thick on the ones that I expect to be cut around. There are exceptions to that. Obviously, this robin, not expecting it to be cut out, but you'll see on all my designs that they're bold. I think it does make them quite sort of cartoony, because I am keeping that boldness there. But yes, oh look, what did I say? I've missed off his foot. I have to go back and colour that in. Okay, right, let's colour that in while we remember. The walnut. Out this one. So check on the faux markers there. So you'll see that the green is sitting on top, like a darker green. It's really handy to use for shadows. Just adding extra patterns, dots, or like the doodling we were doing on Tuesday, you could add extra bits of doodles to your designs. So this kit comes, we've got 3 rectangles and 3 squares to cut out. So at this point you could have coloured in the background of behind the robins as well. You could even what I call reverse colouring and just coloured in the background and left the robins white, which I might do an example of actually to see. See that looks. So yes, there's lots of experimenting I want to do with these designs or these stamps. So I'm just following the outside of the black line all the way round. Yeah. One more side to do. There we go. So let's move this to one side. No pens anymore. So at this point is where the beginner's kit would start. So you've got the mounts and all these pieces coloured in and ready to go. So what's a great thing about this design is, or these stamps, is that there's a little bit of maths involved. So I've measured these so that they basically the width of two squares and the rectangle is the same with a specific border. So you can create any combination of this and you'll still get a beautiful square at the end. But first of all, what we're going to do is raise up all of these, all 6 of them, onto foam pads. So if you are planning on sending your Christmas cards through the post, if you want to keep costs down, then you can stick these flat onto the card, because adding the foam pads will potentially increase the postal cost, because it will go from a letter to a large letter. But I'm going to add some foam pads to these. Flip them all over. This is a nice and easy one to do. You can flip them all over and we can add some foam pads on the back. So you don't need to completely cover the back. It's not. It's very strong glue on these. I'm going to fit 2 in there, just because I think one might be a little bit wobbly. 2 on the squares. So these are 3D foam pads. They generally come on sheets, so they've got backing on both sides, so you can pull one off like a sticker and then keep the backing on while we're just playing around with the positioning, and then glue them all in place. And they also come if you've got tape. So that comes in a big roll of tape, which is good for larger areas if you're doing like the whole mount. It's just a bit quicker. 4 now. Put one in the middle like that. Okay. Right, I'm going to put those to one side. glue this mount on. So you got your card blank. Just make sure you got it the right way up with the logo on the back, opening the right way, and then we're going to glue the green square on top. I'll use my double-sided tape, and I am going to use my wet glue actually. That's what I like to do on my cards where they've got, say, a large area like this which is holding all the weight onto the card, is I like to use two types of glue, which either one would be enough on its own. So I use these glossy accents. That's what I'm doing now. I've got a needle here just because it's nearly running out, and it's blocked at the top. To be honest, I don't think it as it runs out, it does get more blockages, but it can block any time. Yes, I always have a needle handy. I'm just going to use some scrap over here to clear the blockage, and then squeeze some onto that. So the reason why I use two glues is it's all belt and braces, but it's you're never quite sure how someone's going to treat your card. They're not being mistreated. It's that a lot of these designs, if you put your heart and soul into these designs for a long time, people like to hold on to cards that are special, that are handmade. And I know I've got customers whose friends have kept their cards and bought them out year after year. They sort of become a Christmas decoration and they come out and be put on display. So if that's the case, you want the glue to last as long as possible. So depending on how they're being stored or how long, if one glue fails, you've got another backup. So adding the red mount on as well, so we're just going to look for an even border on each side and press into place. And now the fun bit. So you can copy this layout that I've done. Well, let me put this on next. They are slightly different. I've used slightly different stamps and different arrangement on the two cards. Let me go side by side so you can see them. Or you can experiment and play around with some other ideas. I'm going to experiment, but I'm going to come back to this one because at some point between making that card, photographing it, and then coming along to the craft alongs, I've managed to catch some red ink on the front there, which is bugging me. So this is going to become my new example card for this design. I might add some embellishments onto that one to cover that one up. So let's have a look. What could we do? Ooh, yeah, upside down bobbin, right way up bobbin. Do that way. So I quite like the idea of them all just sort of popping their beaks in and saying hello. So I like having some of the weird angles. Like that. So I think where the Happy Christmas is going to go, but I think there's lots of options. So once you're happy with the layout, I would just spend a moment just getting them all lined up so you're happy with all the borders. You're looking for a nice even border on the outside of the red and in between them, and then once they're all where you want them, just take one at a time off to peel and stick. But first of all, I'm going to rearrange this. This is like one of those puzzle games. You slide them along. There. Okay. Again, just going to make sure I've got that where I want it. And then start gluing down. So if you leave all the others there, then you've got that to line up against. You can peel off. Just it, and then drops on there. Go. So that's better that way, isn't it? So let me know in the comments whether you kept to the same layout or whether you experimented with your own. Love to see what the different options are. And then the last one. This one. There we go. Make sure they're all set down, do the test, shake it upside down. And there you have it. That is our Hello Robins Christmas card that I'm going to say I've made today, but you know that you've been here. So yes, this is the Hello Robins card. It's available as DIY kits to make yourself. So it's available as a beginner's kit, an advanced kit, or the expert kit, which comes with the stamps that you can use to make as many of these cards as you wish. So thank you ever so much for joining me today. If you're watching the replay, do say hello in the comments, and any questions you have, just do drop me a comment there, or you can send me an email. You can find me at Della, which is DELLA, at dellabydesign.co.uk, and I'll have to get back to you. Or if you've made this card watching this video and you've got photos, do send them on to me. I'd love to see them. You can send them to me via that email address, or you can tag me in your social posts. So on Instagram it's at dellabydesign, the same on Facebook, actually, on Pinterest. Yes, it would be lovely to see your designs. Thank you ever so much, and I'll craft with you soon. Bye bye.